Well, I'm feeling a little bit emotional. So for those of you who don't know, or just simply may not recognize me these days, I am Laura. My role here, woo, I'll take it. For anyone that's willing to give it, I'll take it. My role here is the Director of Family Ministries, which put simply, that makes me sound important. Put simply, it means that I have the privilege of overseeing our children and our young people. So I get to work with Hannah and Kaylee, our amazing children's pastors, and I get to work with Catherine, our amazing youth pastor. And guys, I can't tell you how proud I am of those guys and how much they love your children and young people and how much they are committed to giving their lives to see your children, our young people grow and develop a real living walk with Jesus. So thank you guys, you are incredible. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. My job is made so easy because of them. I literally have the easiest job in the world because these guys are great. So if you're wondering what all the circus stuff is about, basically, a few months back in Discovery Kids, we did a series called The Greatest Showman. And we focused in on the miracles of Jesus. And we wanted to show the children that people flocked to Jesus, not just because he did clever tricks, but because he was so powerful and so incredible, he could do what no one else could do. It was him who could save. It was him who could heal. It was him who could bring peace. And so we focused in on that for this whole series. And so when we heard that Big Church, that's you guys, for the summer, were doing a series called Kingdom Miracles, we were like, well, go figure. It ties, right? So our miracle today is Jesus feeds the 5,000. Now, if you're, a proper grown-up and you still have a paper Bible, we're going to be like in John chapter 6 for this, right? So we're going to be looking at the miracle of the feeding 5,000. And this is one of my favorite passages of Scripture because it really helps me to see that no matter what I have or where I am, I can give it to God and watch him do something incredible with it. Now, I've got 10 minutes. They literally said to me, hey, can you preach at the takeover? You've got 10 minutes, right? So Pastor John, Pastor James, Pastor Kwame, watch, learn, repeat, right? Rinse and repeat, right? I've got 10 minutes, right? Okay, well, in fact, now it's saying 7 minutes 27, right? I think that's a lie. I've not been up here for 2.5 minutes already. That's a lie, right? So we're going to watch the screen for today's Bible story.
Stories of the Bible. Jesus feeds the 5,000. This is Jesus, who is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. While Jesus was on earth, he taught everyone about God's love. He did many miracles and healed people of their sickness. A huge crowd kept following him wherever he went because they saw his miraculous signs as he healed the sick. A crowd started to gather around Jesus. There were 5,000 men and many more women and children. Turning to Philip, he asked, "Hey, Philip, where can we buy bread to feed all these people?" You see, Jesus was testing Philip, for he already knew what he was going to do. Philip replied, "Even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them."
I got an idea.
Then Andrew spoke up. "There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is that with this huge crowd?" Jesus said, "Tell everyone to sit down."
Everyone, sit down.
Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and gave them to the people.
Here you go.
Afterward, he did the same with the fish, and they all ate as much as they wanted.
Want some more?
I'm all good, thanks.
After everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, "Now gather the leftovers, so that nothing is wasted."
You got it.
So they picked up the pieces and filled 12 baskets with scraps, left by the people who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves and 2 fish.
All right, so I think this miracle is great for so many reasons. It helps us to know what to do, I think, in so many situations. So the first thing that they do in the miracle is they identify the problem. Hey, there are loads of people here, and there is nowhere for them to buy food. There's no Mackies that they can pop to. There's no Nando's. We got nothing. And then they're like, well, there is this little lad who's got his lunch, right? And he's got 5 loaves and 2 fish. We could maybe see if that could stretch. Now, if I was that kid, I'd have been like, no one, nope, is coming near my lunch, right? Because if you all have it, what's going to be left for me? But he gives his lunch away. And I think that challenges us, right? It should ask us to be always saying, hey, what do I have in this situation that could make a difference? And I think this miracle gives us 2 clear steps that we can apply to so many situations in our lives. So the first thing that the miracle teaches us is it teaches us to recognize what we have and offer it to God. So recognize what we have and offer it to God. We all need to look at our lives from time to time, from day to day, to situation and say, what do I have right now that could make a difference in this situation? Because I guarantee you will all have something that can make a difference in a situation. You just got to be willing to recognize it and do something with it. And stop thinking, well, I only have 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or I'm too old, or I don't have enough time, or I don't. Recognize what you do have, not what you don't have, and offer it to God to make a difference in that situation. And I've got no doubt that as this service continues, Hannah and Kaylee are going to be challenging you as to ways that you can make a difference in our children's lives here at MKCC. And I don't want anybody to say, but I. Think about what do I have and how can I make a difference. Now, I've got £5 here, right? Now, £5, I mean, other than kind of, change in your pocket, and I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm baller or anything like that, but change is such an inconvenience to me. When I have change, I'm like, let's get it on the side, right? When it gets to the end of the month, I'm then looking through my change, going, are there any pound coins or £2 coins? We won't talk about that, right? But notes are kind of where I start to get interested, right? But a £5 note is, it's the least of the notes. It's not £10, it's not £20, it's not £50. I love a £50 note. Just saying. You don't see them often, do you? But when you get them, you're like, ha, ha, ha. Right? But a £5 note is the least. And it would be so easy to think, it's only £5. What difference can it make? But actually, the value of this £5 is not really about whether it's £5 or £10. It's about the situation in which it's been given. If I give this £5 to somebody who doesn't have any money, doesn't know where their next meal is coming from, then this £5 will make a huge difference. If I give it to, a kid who, let's say, just behind you, Karis, just behind you. If I give it to a kid who, they're not got the savings in the bank that we've got, it's going to make a big difference. And so that can be applied to our time, our talents, our abilities. We can easily think, but it's only. But when you think about the situation it's being given into, that's where the real value comes. The second thing that they did in this miracle was they trusted God to multiply. That little boy knew when he gave his lunch, he must have known, he must have trusted that Jesus was able to do something with it. Otherwise, what was the point? There were over 5,000 people here. I've got this little roll here, right? Now, there's quite a few of us in here. I'm going to go with 450 maybe, right? Now, if I think about this roll, if I take a bit and I give it to John, right? And I'm like, take some and pass it on, right? It's not going to get very far, right? It's just not. Especially by the time James is like, it's not going to get very far. And even if I said, guys, all just take, Nicola, there you go, bless you, my child, bless you. Even if I say, we're all just going to take the tiniest amount, it's not reaching you guys at the back, I'm sorry. But that kid gave it, and he trusted God to multiply it. He knew that God was going to do something. In John 6:12, it says, when they'd all had enough to eat, Jesus said to his disciple, gather all of the pieces that were left over. Let nothing be wasted. So they gathered all the leftover, and there were 12 full baskets. When we give something into God's hand, I promise you, he wastes nothing. He wastes nothing. He takes what you give and he multiplies it. God does not need you, and he doesn't need me. He doesn't need us, so it doesn't matter what we bring because he doesn't need us. He wants us to be part of his story. He wants to use us for his glory. So it doesn't matter what little we have because it's God that's going to do something amazing with it. I want you to imagine this. 1 second, I'm going to have to pop my mic down. Here we go. Right. So I can have my mic back. I want you to imagine this as your time, as your talent, as your gift, as your ability, as your finance. It would be so easy to say, but what is it? What difference can it make? But when we plop it in and we give it to God, yeah. I was in worship and I popped one of these into my mouth and I'm like, tasty. And then I was like, oh, wait, that is your illustration. Stop snacking. Just get to this point and I've eaten them all. Guys, let me challenge you. It doesn't matter the size of your talent, the size of your ability. If you give it to God, he will make a difference. And so as we continue with this service, as Kaylee comes, Hannah and Kaylee are going to challenge you on how you could get involved. And let me just encourage you to be asking God, what do I have that could make a difference in this situation? Thanks, guys. Kaylee.